scaffolding around you and your IP or your knowledge.
Yes. Yeah. Great. So for SEO and then like really positioning as part of, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Terrific. And a bit of education too.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Excellent. Stacey, did I notice your hand up?
Yeah, I think one of the ways that I would probably use it is, for me, I get people who come to a public program, or they've done a lot of my free webinars and that sort of thing, and they're like, gosh, we really need this in our organisation, but they don't know how to have the conversation with the decision maker.
Yes.
To create actually, we do have a gap. I didn't realise we had a gap, but we've got a gap, and yes, we need something to fill that gap, and this looks like it could be the right thing.
Yeah, great. Yeah, there's often you feel like, I feel like there's something I'm missing here, but I don't know what it is. I feel like I need to give them something, but it's not a brochure. It's, I don't know. Yeah, great.
Yeah, so it'd help enable them to have the conversation, but then also enable me to have the conversation.
That's right. Spot on. And a couple of comments here. Jessica's got webinar newsletter, but I'm unsure fully where they really fit. Great. Yep. And thank you, Diana. Recording. I know I just remembered that then. So you were on to me. So thank you. Thank you for my accountable buddies on recording, Jessica and Diana. I really appreciate it. Yeah, great. Excellent. So yeah, there's a lot of times, and that's the purpose of a lot of these collaterals, is they're talking for you when you're not in the room. And there's decision makers who are looking at your stuff, and also to support the person who's trying to have the conversation. And if they've got nothing, they're not very well supported either. Terrific. Great. So, all right. So let's then, and just a reminder, and I know I do this every time, but it's each collateral fits differently in the Eat to Wine model, and it fits differently in the tribes. So for Kelly Glover, who's just jumping on, is a lot of the work I do is helping people, and probably you do in your space too, is around helping people build their tribes. And so this work is from a guy called Robin Dunbar. He's written a number of books, one called How Many Friends Does One Person Need? And he said that if you look at businesses and tribes that have survived through the test of time versus those that have died out, he said, why is it that some tribes are still alive today, still thriving today, after thousands of years, yet some have died out? And so these numbers are what are called Dunbar's numbers, or Dunbar's metrics. And these two numbers, the 15-150s, are his work. But the question is, so the 15-150s is you have 15 people who are, this work is also taken from, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants with this stuff. I did not come up with it, but Matt Church, who has extended the model a little bit. But Dunbar came up with the 15-150. So 15 people who are essentially your tribal elders, if you like. These are kind of like your board of directors. And these are people who are they have your best interests at heart. They have the greatest impact on your success. So, and we say they're kind of like family, like they could be like possibly your mentor in Thought Leaders. Who is your mentor, by the way? I've just unmuted you. Do you know who your mentor was? Did you get assigned one at Immersion?
Yes, but we haven't met yet, so I can't remember.
That's okay, no problem.
Lynn,
so that person, who was it? Sorry.
No, I'm not sure. I forget.
Can't remember.
It's not Lynn. I just said that. That's not true.
That's all right. No trouble. So when you start to work with this person, is that they will sit in here. They'll be part of your family. They'll be part of your kind of board of directors, if you like, in terms of these are the people who are your sounding boards. You don't have a formal, AGM or anything, but they're just people who are around you to help you to make decisions in your best interests. Then you've got 150 friends. 150 friends are your top 150 customers. These are people who have bought from you in the past. You like them. You would hang out with them. You'd likely hang out with them even if they weren't paying you. You do actually like them. Then the 1,500 are your fans. So these are the people who are on your database. And we look for, the numbers that we look for is, if we've got 1,500 fans, that number is important to tell us that's a good time to start launching public programs. But to get 1,500 fans, that's 1,500 people opening your newsletter every single week. And that means that that's 3,200 at a 40% open rate. We aim for about a 40% open rate if we can get it. And then the mistake a lot of people make is they try to launch public programs too early, and then of course get frustrated, fail, go back to work and go get a job. So that's not necessarily, you know, that their business has failed. It's just that they've tried to do something just usually too early in their practice. And then the last one is the 15,000 followers. So we're looking to get people, this is across social media and across all social media. So, so the question is, if you're going to be building your practice, because if you're going to be, the top 150 are the people who are going to buy from you. If I want to get more people buying from me, then I have to be able to go out to, if these people have all bought, no one wants anything else. I've got to go, okay, well, I've got to engage my fans. I've got to work out, how do I bring them closer? And equally, if I need more people in my database, I have to go out here to my followers. And so the mistake that a lot of people make is they try to use sales strategies that were typically more suited to their close clients, these 150s, and try to apply them to the 15,000 followers. And that's often called spam and is really annoying. So what we've got to do is make sure we've got the right tools to keep people moving in the right direction and keep people moving into that ripple effect into the practice. So the purpose of a white paper in this context then is a few things. Is you're going to be using this at all levels in your practice. You'll use it for, probably so much, you would give this still to your family, so the people who are your tribal elders, you would still give it to, you might not give it to your mum and dad. My mum and dad are in my 15. We're very close family anyway, but I'm not going to give them my white paper. But for the mentors and people who I have in my community, then I would give them my white paper, because that helps them to see where I'm coming from and what I'm working on. Your 150 friends, you would give them your white paper, particularly because, you know, more often than not, that they're going to be possibly one of the buyers of what you're going to be delivering. They're in your community, they like your work, they want to keep working with you. Your 1,500 fans, you will definitely use it if you're using it to get to sales meetings. And you can also use your white paper to move followers off social media and into your database. So there's a lot of leverage in a white paper. And I find that most people get a bit overwhelmed by the size of the task. But I think if you break it down and you've got a bit of a plan and then keep it simple, you can come up with a really great document. So I'm just going to stop for a moment and just check in if I realize that was a lot of information very quickly on tribes. But I'm just going to check in to see if anyone's got any questions, comments, thoughts on how this applies to tribe and how you run your tribe. Kelly, you said Linda, not Lynn. Let me just double check. I'll just unmute you there. What did I have? What was Linda?
Yeah,
Lynn?
I just remembered the Lynn part, and I haven't really met with her one-on-one yet. So we're sort of yet to start the relationship. So I can see her in my eyes, yes, but I couldn't get her name in my Rolodex. My Rolodex.
That's okay. Lynn Kazali. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Linda Hutchins.
Oh, Linda Hutchins. Oh, she's amazing. Yeah. I mean, they all are amazing. Linda's incredible. So that's great. Great. So anyone's got any, no, we're all good. Okay to keep going. So just tell me if I'm going too fast, because I want to be able to get your white paper going. I think it's really important to know first of all, where does this fit? And then secondly is, what's the difference with a white paper compared to other documents, in particular brochures? So if you look at a white paper, the purpose of a white paper versus a brochure is two very different things. And I just made, when I got this, I just realized I was making so many mistakes. This was transformational for in terms of my own practice. So a white paper versus a brochure is, first of all, it's why versus how. So when we're working with a white paper, it's a document that is designed to help somebody understand why what you do matters. So it's less commercial looking, it's more authoritative looking. So this is what the research is telling us. This is what the data is telling us. This is what you need to know. I'm informing you. Whereas a brochure is, okay, we've made the decision that we want to meet and talk about this. So how does all this work? So I've already decided I'm happy to talk to you. So the purpose of the white paper is to get people to talk to you. And it's also designed to position you really well. So you'll see the word positioning there. So it's why versus how. It's a door opener versus a door closer. So the white paper is designed to get people, to open people up. It's designed to get them onto your database. It's designed to reach out and to be able to get in the door. Whereas the brochure is, now we've decided we just want to be able to close the sale. We want to be able to say, yes, I'm happy to go ahead with that. So brochures and white papers are quite different. The white paper is also designed to position you before a sales meeting. So let's say, for example, somebody wanted to meet with you. So let's say, for example, I'm Kelly Tomney, and let's say I'm thinking, you know what, we really need to do some work around our employee value proposition. I'm not really sure what we should do with that, but I was talking to Andrew Deering, and Andrew Deering said we should talk to you. And so Kelly says, yep, awesome, let's catch up. I'll come in and see you next Friday. So before she goes to that meeting, she would send this document before that meeting. So she would say, hey, really looking forward to catching up with you next Friday. I just thought I'd shoot this through. So it might help you with some of the things we might be talking about and spark some ideas around your EVP. So that way, when Kelly gets to the meeting, is that she doesn't spend half an hour mucking around on, oh, how did you go with, like, how was coronavirus? Did it affect you? Like, all this, you spend half an hour losing time on the wrong conversation. And what happens is when Kelly turns up to that meeting, the first thing she says is, how are you going? And they go, and she says, did you get a chance to have a look at that document? Now, sometimes they might say no, but more often than not, I mean, this is chewing up their time. So they want to, get some sense of what you're about before they go to that meeting. So they go, yeah, I've just read this. Remember you said this. Quite often they will turn up to the meeting with it printed. So they've highlighted areas that they want to talk about. So Kelly hasn't had to position and sell herself in person. This document has done that for her. So it allows her to be more present in the meeting. It allows her to just focus on, stay in service, and to work out, can I actually help this person, as opposed to trying to position herself and try and work out if she's going to help them at the same time. It's a really hard task to do when you've got no documentation and you're trying to sell the invisible. So I'm just going to stop for a sec. So Kelly, I'm just going to unmute you there. Is that resonating with you in terms of the meetings and things that you've had or seen opportunity, like, oh, I just sort of wish I had that document because that would have helped?
Absolutely. I've done so many white papers at the start of Thought Leaders, okay, and I've really have not gone back and refreshed, redone this, and so it's really resonating. I absolutely, have to refresh and do it, so that it is so helpful. And then it just means the proposals it's so much easier. It's already done. Yep.
Yeah, you don't walk out spending, a whole day building a proposal. Like, you've done the work, it's already there. In fact, what she's going to do, and when we do the brochure day, is that she would actually be walking into the meeting with her brochure already done. So she's not going home going, okay, now I've got to do a day of putting the proposal together based on what they said. Is that she's got that all ready to go. She walks straight in. So she's essentially almost walking out of the meeting. All she's got to do is get a date sorted out. So she doesn't have to go, oh, I've got to go home, I've got to pull this together, blah, blah, blah. Everything happens at speed. And it's all because she got the speed because you built all the trust before you got there. That's it. Good work. Excellent. So I'm just going to stop here. Any comments, thoughts, insights? When have you noticed that this has come up for you in your practice? Andrew, I'm going to unmute you there.
Oh, yeah. I think one of the things you just said there, Jane, that is really useful is that having a good white paper can save a whole lot of conversation time that you don't have to waste. Like
Yeah.
you kind of leap to 3 steps down the road rather than step 1. Like, who are you? What do you do? Isn't it nice? Versus if you've got the right kind of white paper with the right kind of content,
Yes.
often you kind of go, hey, g'day, bang, straight into a deep end conversation. So just allows you to probably cut 1 to 3 meetings out.
I agree. Yep.
Which is why I think this is really important. And I'll be honest, are we allowed to be slightly impolite on this morning?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a really professional system that puts a beep over the swear words. No,
let's do it on. I usually am pretty beep at this. So, hey, wow, damn, that is good. So this is something I'm quite interested in because it does save time, and time is what we sell and what we need more of. The only commodity we will want more of. So.
Yeah, that's great.
And when it has worked, it does just jump you into a whole nother conversation.
Oh, and the speed of everything. Yeah, it is a whole new conversation because I can guarantee, and even speaking to who was it? Kelly, another Kelly. Kelly Windle, Dr. Kelly Windle, doing some work with, and Andrew, you know her well too, and she was launching a large global transformational project for an organisation, and she brought in a number of experts to talk to about different parts of it, and she said, you know, the amount that come in with no documentation, no white paper, they don't have brochures pre-prepared, they just come in to chat, see what you're trying to do. And you know what happens is if you don't do this, the impact of it is you become commoditized. Is that now you're competing on price and not on value. So people don't see the value because you haven't turned up to show them the value, and you now have to sell yourself. So Kelly was saying, it was a big observation. I remember when I first started on the project, she goes, you would not believe how many people have just no collaterals, nothing. They just come in to chat. So I don't know if you found that too, Andrew, and I know you're friends with Kelly, but that was, I know it had come up quite a lot.
And you also, and everyone is slightly different scenarios, but I think none of us here are big business or big organizations.
No.
And I think the difference, if you can't differentiate quickly, you fall into going head to head with a McKinsey, a PwC,
That's
or whoever, and you don't want to be commoditized into that bucket of goop. It's just not helpful.
That's right.
So, and you'll lose.
You'll lose. You totally lose. Yep, you're gone. Yep. Great. Thanks, Andrew. So I'm just going to check if anybody's got questions before I move on. It's around the difference between like how this document might work in your practice. So equally, Jessica, even with your clients, this is still relevant for them. It's relevant for public, private market. It doesn't matter. This is still the same. So even if you're going in to sell $1 million program or you're going in to sell a $500 program, it's still exactly the same. So still relevant for yours. And so, oops, I'll just see if you've got any comments there that if checking in, you're okay, and I'm not going too quick.
Sorry, Jane. No, I was just going to mention, I've noticed how passive I am when it comes to this sort of thing, and how I'm not proactive enough in sharing who I am and what I do and the value of it. So it's no coincidence that I'm feeling confused about it, and that falls into the market and them not quite knowing how to interact and work with me either.
Spot on. If they're confused, and a confused mind says no. So if they're confused, it's because we haven't got the collaterals to make it nice and clear. So yeah, great. Excellent. This is also key. You asked the question last time on Wednesday, is the accelerator clutch when we talked about changing markets with you. And this is key to shifting. This is how you get new markets, new modes of delivery. This is the document that allows you to do that.
I'm really feeling that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Great. And I'm just going to check. Stacey, this is sort of, I'm just checking that this is resonating with you. Yep, all good. Okay, terrific. Alrighty. All right. So let's have a look. Let's start moving. And so has everyone downloaded the I just put it in a PowerPoint document, so I hope that's okay. You can use Word, whatever, but it was more, what I want to do is I want to see if we can work on this for you in your practice today so that you can at least get these documents underway and moving. But what I want to do is I want to show you a couple that I think are pretty good ones, or a couple of good examples first, so you know what we're aiming for. So there's a few around. I'm going to go to my file here. So here's one, my good friend Dermot Crowley. So this is an example of one of Dermot's, and I'm just going to ask you what you notice about this document. So Dermot has, he's actually renamed his business, so this one's a little bit old, but it still worked. The white paper itself says working smarter, productivity solutions for the modern workplace. So you can see this document, it's got all these people around the table. And then the next one, it's got, I do not believe you can do today's job with yesterday's methods and be in business tomorrow. Now, I don't know who Nelson Jackson is, but that's quite a good quote. He's got a little bit on copyright and the disclaimer, we care, but you're responsible, so that's all fine. A bit of admin on there. Then he's got a bit about him. So who Dermot is. So why Dermot? Why should we trust you? He's a widely published author. You may have seen his book called Smart Work, which is out in bookstores and airports. He's a best-selling Wiley author. Dermot also, incidentally, he and I built Memo Mailer together. So done quite a bit with Dermot. All right, where are we? Dermot, 21st century productivity. So this is essentially him. The Zoom thing's really hard because I'm trying to, so you can see it. 21st century productivity. So he's essentially saying, here's the deal. And this is my take on it, or my opinion. What's your commentary, or what's your opinion? He's essentially gone in with the big piece of what he thinks. Then he's gone into this page, which has got about working smarter. So he's started to unpack a little bit more detail. He's got a model here. The modern workplace demands us to be agile and responsive. So he's got a little bit there. We need to work smarter by adopting a new way of working. To be truly successful and fulfilled, we need to be driven by our outcomes as well as our inputs. To ensure we deliver good work in a timely way, we need to reduce reactivity and work more proactively. We don't need to work longer hours. We need to get more done. We need to leverage our tools. So he's got a little model here, which has got a bit on outcomes, inputs. He talks about manic work versus hard work. Sorry, this is hard to move this around. Hard work, smart work, manic work, and busy work. And that kind of makes sense, really nice and simple. Then he's got, he talks a little bit about leverage technology. So it inevitably comes up all the time. So he talks a little bit about the tools that people are using. He also talks about integrated productivity. So this is actually one of his bigger models, which is the one that he talks about the most, is that you have to work out what are the actions you need to do and what are the inputs and outputs. So he's got inputs, outcomes, and actions, and he's got a model there with the intersections. I quite like this around. It looks sort of hand drawn. It looks nice and just authentic and not too over the top. 3 productivity hacks that he says that you need to do. So he unpacks these ones. So he says he's got managing actions. So he's got his little model and he's highlighting which part of the model here he's talking about. Then he's got, he explains in a little bit more detail some of the things that you need to focus on to manage actions. So he's got centralize everything in one action system, focus your day with a plan, proactively schedule your work. Then he's going into outcomes, managing outcomes, and he's got some narrative there about what he thinks about that. He's even got these little sidebar comments, which is sort of like a summary of almost what he's said. If you want to read a bit more, then you can read a bit more there. And then he's got managing outcomes. Whoops, I skipped one there. Managing outcomes. Oh yes, managing outcomes, and a bit more detail there. So then he's unpacked. What has he got? Has he got 3 things? Yeah, 3 things on managing outcomes. paint your own big picture, ensure importance drives your work, not urgency, and identify the things that get in the way. So he's got those. And then he's got a quote sort of more towards the end. So productivity is never an accident. It's always the result of a commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort. And then after that, he's got, what do you do next? So next steps. So he's put this other little commentary here. What are you going to do differently? And as the saying goes, what got you here will not get you where you want to go. So he's saying if you want what's next, and then he's got if you want some help. And here's the companies we've worked with. We can help you, and then they can get in touch. And I'll just move that up the top. And I'll move that down a bit. Yep. And he's got some of the brands that they've worked with. All right, so I'm just going to stop for a sec. And it was a bit of a scan through, and this is essentially how your clients will do the same thing. They'll generally scan first before they read it. So I'm just going to stop and just feel free to unmute yourself on what have you noticed, even just having a look at Dermot's. What stands out to you? What insights have you had? What do you like? What do you not like? What do you think from a customer's perspective if Dermot turned up to a meeting or they got that before Dermot turned up to the meeting? What do you think would be happening for the customer or the client? So far away, Stacey.
Hey, Jane. I guess the couple of things that stand out for me, firstly, there's obviously the use of the quotes from presumably people that are well known in that maybe space, so adding support to some of the ideas. There's a lot of what seems to me like a lot of information, which I guess is about demonstrating authority and expertise in that space. The model, again, just another way of presenting the information that might be useful depending on the preferences of the person who's actually trying to absorb it. It seems like it's a bit of a journey, and then now that I've actually self-identified that maybe we too have this challenge or situation or whatever, I've actually got somewhere to go with the next steps.
Yeah, beautiful. I really like what you said about self-identifying. That's the purpose of it, that the client can see themselves in the document so that they identify with it, that they go, oh, I was reading on page, you said in here, you talked about, on this page here, you talked about manic work. Yeah, I feel like that's where we're at. I hadn't thought about that. So it's the insight that creates that ability to self-identify. So spot on. Is that so? Then when they come to the meeting, is that there's been a little bit of that connection with, okay, now I can see, and that's what the client's really looking for is, am I going to waste an hour going to this meeting? So you're saving them time as well, even if they read it and they self-identify and opt out, great, even better. So you can just work with someone else. But it also, because they can self-identify, it reduces their choosing. There's more influence because they're choosing to self-identify. So it's not that going to the meeting and then they're going, so you're going, oh, what's your problem? And they go, oh, we just feel like we're a bit manic. And you go, oh yeah, we can fix that. We work with people who have manic work all the time. So, the trust is there because they go, oh, well, that's exactly how we're feeling. So, because we show that we understand. Yeah. Great pickup.
One of the questions that I've got, Jane, though, is there's a lot of information in there. Yeah. Is that typically what we would see, that much information?
No, and that's why I was just going to show you one that's a bit shorter so that you can still do the same job, because this is quite a long one. So this is nearly 20 pages. So you can do one that's much shorter. And what I've, there's no hard and fast rule how you do it, but for me, I'll always try and hack it and see what'll get the best result with the least amount of time, but still has the highest impact, particularly for the client too, that they can say, from that, I feel like I've had enough information to go fix myself.
And I think from my perspective, I'd be looking at going, okay, an exec is not going to read that.
No.
They want something that's much more fine-tuned. Okay, that I'm done.
Yeah, and you find, and again, it's more that they scan it. So they
Yes.
actually don't really read it, they scan
Yeah.
it. So this is a
Yeah.
credibility document.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily go through and read as much of it, but it gives them a good sense of where you're
Yeah.
coming from and do you get me?
Yeah. Beautiful. Thanks.
I think, Jane, just as
Yeah,
a
Andrew, fire away.
reflection of that, so while it's a long one, and while there appears to be a lot of information, and there isn't, like it's all skeletal stuff, it's all things that are subtle anchors, and depending upon where the potential client's coming from, which anchor will grab them or which hook will grab them. And the other subtlety of the models is really important, because that is the simple skim. People love models.
Yes.
You can look at that model and go hard work, smart work, manic work, busy work. I'm definitely not smart work. I'm not quite sure which one I am, but I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable. And this person may have a clue.
Yes.
And that's that, again, self-identification, as you said. And I think it also gives them permission to feel like they're not the only ones, because often
Exactly.
clients do. So.
Exactly. I'm not alone. This is a thing. This is actually a thing. So how I'm feeling is now validated. Great insight. Thank you, Andrew. So I agree. I agree with you. It's not always necessarily about the volume that's in it, but it's also more about that you have thought about this. You have done some thinking about it, and you got some deeper insight into what is going on. Even if they don't necessarily read it, you kind of want this document that they go, oh wow, okay. You want that wow moment. Jessica's commented here, it's showing the why and not the how. Spot on, great pickup, well done. Is that it's not about, okay, here buy my thing, here's all the pricing, and you can have this option, you can have that option, and here's the free steak knives, and all that sort of thing. This is not about that at all. This is all why this matters. This is what's going on in the world. This is what's happening for organizations, 21st century. So productivity, the world is changing. So we're dealing with distractions and interruptions, and so they go, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So great pickup, Jessica. Anything else before we got it? Any other questions, comments, thoughts, insights while we've got this example?
I'm surprised that it's quite simple.
Yeah.
I've seen some white papers that just look a lot more technical.
Yes.
So first thing I thought of, some of the white papers I've seen have they use a few more references and stuff like that. Is that acceptable or normal? Like, this just seems very simple.
Very simple. Yeah. And Dermot, by the way, his average sale will be in the 6 figures for programs like this. So this document will easily sell $1 million programs for him too. So it's not like it'll sell, a one-day workshop. So it will still work. But you're right, and it also just comes back to knowing your customer. So in your case, you're dealing with very technical people. So they would more than likely need something that's got a little bit more emphasis on the technique. Like you've got a lot of engineers or people from engineering backgrounds and things. So they will go through that with a fine tooth comb more often than not, won't they? Whereas sometimes Dermot's dealing with execs that they just like, do I get the concept? Is it relevant? Do you have credibility? Does this match our problems? Yep. Let's talk. I'll go from there. Whereas yours might be a little bit different. So you might need to.
It's interesting because then equally too, I've seen some that are double-sided.
Yes.
Like it's just a double-sided paper. Some that look like a book. Like they all look and feel very different in their how they're presented from a brand perspective and an information perspective.
Yeah, you can do them a lot of different ways. Like even I was going to do this more at the end, but you're right, is that whilst this is a electronic document, so I did the white paper for confidence, which is my doctor's program, in a little mini book. So I just did, it actually matches your white paper more often than not actually matches the first chapter or so of your book. But I just pulled so I've decided to make the white paper because I don't actually send this out to people electronically. the way that I meet doctors is at the Australian Medical Association Junior Doctor Conference. So for me to do an electronic version of a white paper would not work. So I had to do something that was more tangible. So you're right, is that it could be that depending on how you're meeting people is that it might turn up differently. Colin Ellis did his, he's got one here that's, it's got a bit more how in it, but you can do a lot with a white paper. You can turn it into a tiny little skinny book even. And it doesn't have to be a big, massive book. But yeah, that's the beauty of the white paper is once you've done it, depending on your audience is how you can play with it. Work out what might work well. So great comment, great insight, well done. Okay, so let's have a look at one more example and then you're going to do yours. So let's have a look, that's Dermot. I'll close Dermot off and let's have a look here. Where's my other one? I've got, there's a couple of others around and I'm going to put these in the Facebook group anyway. These are a couple of others, but and I'm going to, I've given you the template of what I think is a simplified version. But Lynn's, let's see if I can reduce the size of this a little bit so it's a bit easier to read. So when you're looking at these is, you know, scannability is a really powerful thing. So a few things to know, also pick up on is if you notice it doesn't have Lynn's face on this document. And it also doesn't look all branded, and even Dermot's had a stock image on the home page. So you can, your face turns up more on other marketing documents that are sort of more closing documents, like you could have it on a brochure or something like that. But with a white paper, they're designed to look quite authoritative. So they need to look clean. They need to look non-commercial, like they need to look like they're almost a scientific type document, as opposed to, you know, all these really commercial, it depends on your customer, but you're usually easing off on all the noise, the visual noise and the marketingness of it. So you can see Lynn's, like this is very clinical looking for Lynn. So Lynn is, you know, she's normally got lots of, you know, she's creativity. She's got all these different things kind of going on, but she's clearly knows her customer because the artwork is very different to how she designs the rest of her stuff. She's got, you can even see like, you go, are you sure this is Lynn Kazales? It can, so sometimes white papers, it's kind of funny. It can feel at times even, I mean, she did this a while ago. This is, there you go, 8 years ago. So she has had a rebrand, but she still uses this. It's still on a website. So it might even, it can sometimes even feel a little bit off brand for you, depending on the market. But you'll know your customer, but it does look a little bit more clinical and less salesy. So she's got, you know, what change you can see. I'm just going to scan through this one. I won't go through in a lot of detail, but I will put it in the Facebook group for an example. But she's got some models. She's got the problem set. Here's another, what's in it for me anyway. Too high a level into the detail, too detailed. This one hasn't got as good a scannability, I don't think, as Dermot's does, but still it's another example. It's been around for some time. She's had it for 8 years and she still uses it. Even that's an old photo of Lynn. I remember when that, I think I almost remember around that time when, I remember that was her first photo. So, but I'm going to share with you one that I did very similar to Dermot's, and again, I'll put it in the Dropbox. But this is, I realized it was similar to Dermot's and it definitely worked, but again, too visually noisy. So I'll just go zoom out for a sec. Okay, so this was called Persuasive Leadership, the Power of Influence to Motivate and Inspire Teams. Good leaders who actively lead. The quotes were right. This had a little bit more around the research, like you said, Diana. So the Centre for Workplace Leadership, University of Melbourne, found that 75% of workers believe their workplaces need better management and leadership. Forbes said that 70% of employees are disengaged in their work. So you're starting to bring in a little bit more research and evidence. Challenges, fears. So this is a bit closer to the template that I've given you. So this was the 5 key challenges that have created the perfect storm and highlighted the need for persuasive leadership. So I've gone into the problems. So the problems that leaders have, trying to do more with less. So the problems are things that if I spoke to this audience, if I spoke to this type of person in the program, that they would say, I'd say, so what are the challenges you've got there? I'm so overwhelmed. I've got too much. Everything's happening too fast. So I'm trying to do more with less. We're trying to keep great people. These are the problems from the HR manager's perspective, because they're the person who would be buying this program. These are not the problems of the person in the program, if that makes sense. So this would be key for you, Diana, as well, where you were talking about, you know, the people who are having to do, say, the online course as part of doing the standards. But this is a white paper for the person who's buying that program for those people, if that makes sense. So HR managers will say they're trying, yes, we've got people trying to do more with less. We've got challenges around trying to attract and keep great talent. Our leaders are younger, so we've lost some of our well-experienced talent. They're experiencing burnout. Leaders are losing time on technical tasks and starting their leadership work at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. They're exhausted, they're stressed, and they're frustrated. Then we go into the fears. So the fears of the market of this person. So I've got fears of the leader. In this case, you've got like they're afraid of criticism, afraid of failure, afraid of making mistakes, afraid of decisions, speaking, taking responsibility. Then we've got a model here, which is kind of like showing the journey that I'm going to take them on. So we'll talk a little bit about journeys, and some of you have done some work in that already when doing the website one. I've got a little bit here on taking control. So this is my position on it, is that since the term servant leadership was coined in 1970, there's been a shift to removing the power from the individual to the team, which is great. But the problem with that is that people become passive, and so they don't step up, they don't take control, and they don't lead. So then I've gone into the building blocks of the three pieces to it. Then I started to unpack all the intersections. So in hindsight, this white paper ended up way too long. It could have been cut right down, and I would have just kept that model there, unpacked the 3 parts of the model in the intersections, and I would have finished it off here. But instead what I did is I went into all this extra information and I sort of followed Dermot's lead, which was totally unnecessary, and it ended up too long. It was too much. So this is a 20-page document. I reckon about 10 is probably pretty right. It's still enough. So, but what are you noticing on comments, thoughts, insights that you're noticing on this one? And I'm just going to check what comments we've got coming up in here as well. So it's a slightly different one again. And feel free to just unmute yourself.
Hey, Stacey here. So Jane, from my perspective, obviously there's a little bit more, I guess, in terms of the visual. I know you said it's probably a little bit too visually busy, but I kind of like the way that the information is broken, is chunked down. So where there's like the 5 challenges and that sort of thing, that it's quite clearly kind of laid out. So again, from that scanning perspective, it's actually quite a lot easier for people to kind of pinpoint that information rather than big chunks of text. And again, the use of models and that sort of thing, I think it's so incredibly powerful. You know, people, it's amazing how they just go, oh my God, you really know what you're talking about. Because you've got models.
You've got models. They really improve your credibility, and people can see where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
And the power of models too is that actually the simpler the model, the more that that person can actually repeat you to someone else. So they can say, well, Stacey, when she comes in, she talks about these 3 things. So, you know, they make someone else look good as well. So as in, and I don't mean from a, like a copywriting and trademarking perspective, I mean more the person who's trying to get your program to to roll out in that organisation, is that they can simply explain it to someone else.
Absolutely. You give them power to do that.
Spot on. Great pickup. The models just help explain information so much more easily in a visual format. Great. Anyone else? What else are you noticing with this one?
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, Kelly.
Okay, good.
Away.
From a presentational point of view, just when it's the landscape, it seems like a presentation and almost something that I could watch. It would be a PowerPoint, so it feels like you're talking to that. But with the horizontal, vertical one, whatever that's called, that seems a little more like a school report. So I think from taking it to someone and presenting it, this is more visually appealing, and it feels like you've got something to give as opposed to like doing work and receiving it. So it's just, and again, 8 years old presentational, but like I can just see how the landscape is more.
Yeah. I agree. I've done them in Word documents and I've done them in all different ways, but there's something that, I don't know, something that about doing it in a PowerPoint, I just find it sits nice. The graphics often sit a little bit better. So yeah, it doesn't really matter what you like to use, but I think you're right, Kelly. I think I just feel like it allows the content and the concepts to breathe a little bit.
It feels like that I'm sitting in on you doing a presentation without you having to be there. And then if you give it to me to present to someone else, I'm stepping in on your behalf doing the presentation for you. So the content isn't the same. It's just which way it's presented. Like I'm sure Linz is amazing, but just as what I reckon will get it through the sale through the goalpost, I reckon it's B. And it's just a matter of, it's, like I said, it's the same thing. Is it in a paper bag or is it in a gift wrap? This is the gift box version.
Yeah, you can, and that's right. And you'll know for your client and what works well and how the layout works. But it's good I think it's always good to look at a variety of them so that you can see what's right for you. So spot on. And the other thing you might notice is that there's, again, no photos of me throughout. There's no photos. I've moved all the credibility to the end. So whereas Dermot's was at the front, my opinion is it's a little bit salesy for a white paper. So it's all moved towards the back. And also, it's also about first impression, even the copyright and the disclaimer. So, it's around what's the message that I want them to see next. So I don't want copywriting and disclaiming as being the first thing. Like I don't want that to be the first impression of don't take my stuff. I want it more, here's how I help. And then all that is, oh, by the way. So, but that's up to you. You can make conscious choices about how you want it to work and how you like it. So the process I'm going to walk you through today is how to keep it pretty simple. And also is what I would say is with white papers for the last however many years, I actually started off by not doing many of them because I already had a list and I already had programs that were running. So I pretty much went straight to brochures because I was like, I don't have time to do white papers. I've got to go out and sell. And it was because I already had lists done. I already had things that people were understanding how to buy. However, what happened in my practice is that I hit a plateau and I couldn't move any further. And it was because I hadn't done these. So these are the things that will shift you and help you shift gear as your practice is growing. Is they do take a bit of work, but if you can get, what I found is that if you can get quicker at them and you've got a good simple template and you just know exactly where to put that content in, you can actually pull them together quite quickly. And so we had someone even come to a content creation boot camp. She did hers in 1.5 days. And that was someone who'd never done one before. But I think even if she went to do one again, she would probably knock it out in probably a day or half a day now. Like she's got the template and the process and she's done it once. So, I noticed that some others that have worked with these, they say, oh, look, if you can do it in a week, that's fine. A week, sometimes you got to move faster. You got to pull these things together and get moving. All right, so let's go to your template and let's start working on yours. Before I do that, are there any questions or any other, there's a few that I'm putting in the Facebook group of a couple of others that are around. These are really colorful ones. They're, all around problem sets and things. This one is one from Kieran Zinger, who's a social media expert. So, but yeah.
Just a quick reflection / question. Is it fair to say that a white paper really needs to do sort of consider too, I mean, apart from the content, it's also who you're talking to. So I suspect some of Dermot's clients back in the day when that was built were a bunch of box heads with love, versus, so part of it's your client, and part of it's also you. Like if I look at Dermot's, and I don't know Dermot back then, but I can still see that being Dermot, and I can see that one being you. I think there's a little bit of, you know, so you do this. I can almost imagine sometimes you can do a white paper, get someone else to do a white paper for you that's really amazing, and you show up and they go, "Wow, this is not congruent. I don't."
Yes. Oh, spot on, totally, because it's still and connecting with your customer. If it's still on brand, if you like. I agree with you, and I think Dermot's practice has evolved a lot since he did that one, so it would look very different now. And you may need to rework these even as your practice grows as well. Like even, like you say, is even this one, I'll just zoom this out. This was one that was done, this was when I first ran my Women with Influence program. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Zoom out. So this, it does look a little bit more commercial and salesy, but this market I knew could kind of cope with the color a little bit more. It needed the energy in it and not too stale or too clinical was probably the word. So this had, you know, Sheryl Sandberg, leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence. And then, you know, here's the research. According to US Labour Force data, by 2020, more than 50% of people were self-employed. So, you know, it's got a little bit more of the research, but it needed a bit of personality in it too, but without it being too overly commercial and salesy, but it still needed to pop and have some personality, was what I kind of found. So you're right, is that if it's, you can get it to connect with the brand, still feel on brand and authentic, but it's got to reflect and connect with that right customer as well. So, all right, great insight, perfect. All right, so let's start working on yours. So if you want to pull up your template, I'll start putting your content in, and I'm just gonna, where did I put it? Where is white paper? There we go. Okay, I've tried to keep this super simple so that's something that would work and also doesn't chew up days on end. So slow me down if you need to, and I'm just going to, as we go along, you're going to do these as we go. So on the homepage, has everyone got their homepage open in the title? And then if there are any bits that you lost, thanks for the thumbs up there, Kelly, excellent. So if there are any bits that as we go along and you're stuck or you go, okay, that's fine, we'll come back to it. And then you'll be able to work on it this afternoon. And if not, if you still need my help, just put it in the Facebook group and we can work on it. But the goal is to, let's just get as much out as we can now. And then you'll be able to reflect and think on it a bit more. So your role is now to choose one of your projects, or if you like, for Kelly for Kelly Glover, is if you've got a cluster, you've got a program that you're planning to launch, would be the thought leaders language they would use. So you would have a white paper for each program that you've got. So you don't have necessarily a white paper for your entire practice. You could if you wanted, but it's more per program. So if you had a look at your program, so what I'd like you to do is put the name of your program into the title. So what have you got as your title? Pop it in there. And I just put a mention here of no images of your face, just a reminder that on this page. So the idea is you just dump everything into this document and then you would give it to a designer. So let's have a look. What have you got, Stacey? I'll just unmute you there.
Sorry, Jane. I just had a question. So I'm looking at two different options. One is just straight executive coaching and the other one is coaching capability. And I just feel like maybe at the moment, even though it's simple, the leading possibility coaching is maybe more relevant right now and possible in terms of, you know, the next couple of months, whereas the coaching capability maybe is in a few months' time when everyone goes, and I'm talking heads of HR go, oh my God, our managers aren't coping, they need some more skills.
Yeah, I
Does
think
that
you might
sound
be right.
reasonable?
Yeah, because I think even listening to Dave this morning, the urgencies around resilience,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. So I think,
Yes.
the leading possibility probably aligns a bit more, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank
A
you.
leading possibility coaching. Yep. Love that. Okay, so we've got the title, and then I've also put on their subtitle. So with the subtitle, if you're trying to work out what do I put as a subtitle, the subtitle is what's the promise? What am I going to find out by the end of reading this document? So is it how to increase so it might be leading possibility. So how leaders can inspire, motivate, and engage teams during times of during turbulent times or something like that, if that's what Stacey's got. So does anyone need help with their title or subtitle? Kelly Glover, how are you? Are you okay? I'm just going to unmute you there. Checking you're okay.
Yeah, I'm on a Mac, so I don't have the PowerPoint. I'm just
it's okay.
Figuring that out at the moment.
That's okay. Take your time. I'll mute you and you let me know when you're ready. And I'll just come over making sure Jessica and Deanna are okay as well. Yep, they're okay. All good. All right, terrific. And Kelly Tomley's okay as well, I'm assuming. All right. So you've got your title. Okay. And just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go on to the next spot.
Can I just clarify? I am struggling a bit on this one. So I've got future-proofing you, but then for the subtitle, how, I'm not wanting to give the solution straight out. So it's sort of like, okay, how can you proactively future-proof you? Is it more the value proposition that you're giving them there?
So who's your buyer on this? So
it will be the public for this offering.
This is your public one. Okay. Yep.
Even though they are senior leaders, but they'll be buying this themselves. Yeah.
Buying for myself. Okay. I'm paying on credit card. Yep. Future proofing you is fine as your title. Yep. And
subtitle.
Yeah. What have you got on your you're in thought leaders, so you're used to working with green sheets. So you would put your left and right brain statements there off your green sheet.
Right.
So
yeah, so maybe if develop your future proof plan and maximize your career opportunities and life during these times.
Yeah. Or during times of change, like these times could be sort of you'll end up having to redo it later. So if you just said during times of change or something like that, or during times, or so but that's right. And the same as what you had on the website page that you did. So that's what you had for that one, wasn't it? As well?
Yeah, it was.
Yep, perfect.
Okay.
So it matches that. Spot on.
Thanks.
Good work. Okay. Kelly Glover, I'll just check in. You're okay? How did you go? You're all right? Yeah. Okay. And you've got a cluster you're looking at launching or a program?
I've just called it Personal Brand Revolution.
Yeah, great. And so who's your buyer? Who would be paying for it?
So this one would be solopreneurs.
Solopreneurs. Okay. So I would put in your subtitle how, so it's got Personal Branding Revolution, did you say is the title?
Yeah.
Yep, great. And your subtitle. So I just often recommend to put your market in the subtitle. So how solopreneurs, or it could be even why solopreneurs need to, brand and position themselves for their businesses, for business growth or something like that.
Okay,
does that resonate with you?
I just quickly typed something out. I wrote, why solopreneurs need to unpack and communicate their personal brand.
Beautiful. Well, you've got personal brand already in your title.
Oh, good point.
So unpack and what did you say?
Communicate.
Communicate their value, perhaps.
Yes.
Maybe something like that.
Great.
Okay, excellent. Well done. You're all over it. Okay, now what you need to do is, what I suggest is to, the quote, and you notice, I like this, I find this sort of connects well with the ones that I've done with clients. So a quote that's relevant to your message. And I've put here, ideally uses keywords from the program that you're delivering. So if, Andrew, what's yours? What are you thinking with this one? What's your white paper? Sorry, I'll unmute you there. Yep, I've unmuted you. I'll let you unmute you.
This one's around the trusted advisor. So I'm
yes.
Playing with it around taking greater control over the growth, the confidence, and taking the business to the next level.
Yeah, okay, great.
Never
So
right brainy, so there's much left, but yeah.
Perfect. So the quote that would go here would be, and I just usually go look up, I'll Google the word. So I go quote and trust. So great, I'm looking for something around, and also who your audience admires. So it's really important that whatever quote you put in there, that this audience knows who that person is. So, and it matches who they're trying to become. So, and they admire. So if Andrew put, you know, a quote here that Oprah Winfrey said about trust, probably not the ideal quote, but it would be great for Jessica if she was doing something around building trust or something like that, because that resonates with her market. So, so you'd be looking for something that, and even if you can't find it today, but just more, here we go, trust is a quote on trusted, so I'm just Googling. Oh, here you go, Andrew. Okay, this is from Lao Tzu. He who does not trust enough will not be trusted.
He does not trust enough will not be trusted. Thanks.
That's okay. There's often, and if you got stuck, like if you couldn't find anything really good on trust, you go, okay, well, what's this about? Okay, well, it's about being able to get high performance, or it's being able to about growth. Like you said growth before in your subtitle. So you go, I'd go looking for a quote on growth if you couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Okay, has everyone been able to find a quote that's relevant? Stacey, there must be some good ones around possibility. Sorry, I'll unmute you there.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sure. Look, I'm sure they are. I just haven't found it yet, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. So if you get stuck and you can't find one, is just go to leadership if you can find something.
Yeah.
So I just get possibility, quote, possibility. Oh yeah, there's a few. The trick is if you could work out, does the audience admire this person?
Yeah, absolutely. That's okay. I'll work on it.
Here you go. I've got one for you, John Maxwell, and I'll just save it. Here we go. I'll save it and I'll put it in the Facebook group. If you embrace possibility thinking, your dreams will go from molehill to mountain size, and because you believe in possibilities, you put yourself in a position to achieve them.
Beautiful.
So John Maxwell, they've written the most books on leadership.
Yeah.
So that one would probably be okay. So let's have a look here. We've got collaterals and Stacey, Ashley. Here we go. Okay, I just put in the Facebook group for you, Stacey.
Thanks, Jane.
Okay. Does anyone need some help there with what they would be needing, or what would be ideal in there? So if I'm Diana, you've got very left brain buyers who are looking at this stuff. So it would be someone possibly they would admire. So it might be somebody who is like an Einstein or a...
yeah, I just found a really funny one.
Oh, did you?
Yes. It says that I'd rather be the jester who does than the king that makes no difference.
That's funny.
It is funny because I think most people can relate to having a boss that's useless and workers that add way more value.
Yes. What's the title of your program there, Diana? What are you thinking?
So mine's around like consulting is more than advice.
Right.
Because we're trying really hard to hit home about the fact that when people engage us, they get so much more than the technical component.
Mm-hmm.
So we often talk about in a lot of our online, we want to elaborate on that and talk about, you know, how a consultant should behave if they're really adding good value.
So what are you trying to sell? So because your white paper matches up with the program you're trying to sell. So you're trying to sell your online program?
Yep. So again, it comes back to quality, and it comes back to that technical component around, I suppose it complements the technical support that people get with as part of the role that we do.
Yeah. And who's your buyer?
It's a range of people, but let's just say project decision makers.
Okay.
$1 billion infrastructure projects. It might be government, it might be commercial, it might be a project director.
Okay.
It
So
depends.
Great. So I would put on here something like, so your title would be something more along the lines of, you just got to be pretty explicit and let it match. So you want, so that if they look at it, that it's really clear that it's for them. They can see themselves in that title and in the cover. Yep. So if the title was something like, let's say it was called, what did I just have there? I don't know what the title, but let me go subtitle first, because subtitle will probably get the title to pop. So the subtitle would be something like how project managers of $1 billion infrastructure projects. Or it could even be why project managers of $1 billion infrastructure projects need to focus on why quality matters. Here we go. Why quality matters for project managers. Why quality matters when managing $1 billion infrastructure projects in government and in the private sector.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So now they can see themselves in, and now it's clear what I'm going to know by the end of it. But if I picked it up, I go, oh, I need to read that. That's me.
Yeah.
Great. And then, so then your quote on this page is about quality.
Yeah.
Does that resonate?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, great. So, okay, quote. And now that's nice and sharp. Oh, there you go. I don't know who that person is. John Ruskin, Steve Jobs. Steve, there you go. Steve Jobs got quality is more important than quantity. 1 home run is better than 2 doubles. But a lot of Australians just baseball's a sport. So Henry Ford, here you go for your engineers. Quality means doing it right when no one is looking. That one's probably nice and relevant for your client. I'll just put that in Facebook group. Diana, there you go. There you go. I just popped it in the Facebook group for you. So, all right. Does anyone else need some help with theirs, or you're all okay? No, all good. Okay, great. All right, Jessica, you going okay? I'm not going too quick. Jessica's all right. She's got a thumbs up for me. Excellent. All right, terrific. Okay, and all right, the next one is now your position on this. So for now, what I just want you to do is you're going to come back and elaborate a bit more on this. But what I'd like you to do is I want you to put down what are the top, and just bullet points for now. So you can always elaborate this later. But just for now is I want you to put down what are the 5 things that you why you think this matters overall. So it's not around, we're not going into customer problem sets and things like that, but the question is why do you think this matters? So why does this matter? So is it that I'll put this in, so it's probably around why does this matter? So is it that times are changing, we're in complexity and uncertainty? Is it that you know, that people that like, what is, it's not so much around the problems that customers would say, but it's more around your insight around why does this matter? So it's not your rant just yet. You can't put a rant in just yet. We can't put your rant or crusade in. So don't worry, you'll get to it. We'll be allowed, we'll do that in a minute. Gianna's going, oh man, I really wanted to do that. This is, why does this matter? So it might be, you know, we're dealing with, you know, we're dealing with uncertain times. You know, we've, there's been, Gianna might say, there's, based on the research, is that over the last 20 years, there have been X million or billions of dollars lost in infrastructure projects that have been a result of quality problems. So you could even put that in there. So this could also be an opportunity to put, you could put research in here as well. So let me know if you need help. Kelly Glover, you're okay?
Yep. I've got my quote and I'm working on the next bit. Did you want to know my quote?
Yeah, tell me what you found.
Your personal brand is your reputation, and your reputation in perpetuity is the foundation of your career. Beautiful.
So who said that?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh, good. There you go. Beautiful. Well done. That's excellent. That's a great one.
Vaynerchuk.
Vaynerchuk. Yep.
Yes. That's how you're supposed to say it.
Yes.
Apparently. According to him.
Terrific. That one's perfect. Excellent work. All right, you're on to the next one. And Jessica, how did you go with your quote? I'll just unmute.
Yeah, so I found a few different ones that, oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yep.
I found a few different ones. This one sat really well with me. I've not heard it before, but it's that people say that money is not the key to happiness, but I always figured if you have enough money, you can have a key made.
Oh, that's great. Who said that?
Joan Rivers.
Oh yeah, she's great. Yep, nice. Well done. That's a great find. Excellent. Good work. You're all over it. Yep. I know. It's really, I know. I say, you know, you're working with thought leaders when they go, I just found the most awesome quote. Like, not too many people get excited about quotes, but thought leaders do.
I've written like 5 others down as well.
Yeah, you often find really good ones in your travels. That's it.
There's a piece of content in that.
There's a piece of content in that. Good. Excellent. All right. Is anyone else stuck? Does anyone need help? And so here the position just for now is just jot down 3 to 5 things about why does this matter? So I'm thinking if I'm in your world, Jessica, it's, you know, even the impact of, you know, mindset, confidence that women have. But you've also got even, I don't know what your rant is, so I haven't got to that yet, but, you know, just, you know, just trying to, what you're noticing around, you know, why this matters in the world. More women are in the workforce. They unfortunately, this is a bit of your insight, but why it matters is you've also got, I thinking, financial literacy amongst women. I'm thinking there's things like, you know, women live longer than men. You've got you know, so women have the highest percentage of people who are homeless are women in their late 50s and single. So I think it's some data that I saw not long ago, and often it's because they've been in situations where they haven't had financial independence. They go through divorce, things like that, and then and so there's a lot of risk with women and their financial independence because they've spent all those years having children, or you know, so then they're in a situation where that happens, and then they have no income. But then you've also got younger women coming through. So you would know the things that you're seeing all the time, but they'd possibly be some of the things that might be floating around there.
Yeah, I've found a statistic recently that said that 70% of all divorces are related to financial stress.
Oh, there you go.
So, and that's a common theme I see with women, is that they feel that they're, you know, without their husband or without that support, that if that relationship ended, they'd be in a lot of trouble, or they see their husband working really hard to provide and they want to be able to, you know, to provide and contribute to the family and do the holiday and the renovation and that sort of thing. So I've kind of led with that one because that kind of hits people between the eyes.
Yeah, excellent. Good work. Well done. You know your customer. That's great. Andrew, you're going okay with why this matters? Oops, I'll let you unmute yourself there.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm playing catch up, but
That's okay.
Ignore me happily.
Okay, that's okay. All right, no problem. Let me know if I can help, and equally give me a thumbs up if you've got, or you want to run, whoever's happy to share. Maybe tell us what your 3 or 4 things why this matters, what you've got. If you're happy to share, feel free to unmute yourself if you're happy to. All right, let me know if you need some help, but if you're ready to go on to the next one, then give me a thumbs up.
Hey Jane, a question.
Yeah.
So in the rare case that you may have something that is, for example, if you've just written a book, heaven forbid, but and the program aligns with that, would this be something that, I guess, to provide some congruence, you could actually use some of the strap lines, etc., from that document just as a new, like it's just you wrote that. Yeah, but to be able to write. To use that as a congruence piece, is that useful, or do you?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be exact matching, but I've got here's one I prepared earlier. I've got your book right here, and I'm looking at your introduction, and you know, like you've got it actually here. You could nearly do a copy paste. You've got to survive and thrive. Oh, sorry, actually, no, that one. Oh, sorry, I was reading the first. That one's probably your story. Yeah, that one goes elsewhere. But over here in the first chapter, what we got? I'm a bit frustrated, but yeah, totally. You can just repurpose. If you've already done the work, is go over there and go, right, what can I pull out of here? Because your white paper more often than not is often your first chapter of your book anyway.
Yeah, that's good. Just here I am trying to rewrite it, and I realise I probably don't need to. Thanks,
No,
Jenny.
you've got it all. You've written the book, so I'll be brave. So yeah, yeah. So well, what you might do this, like looking at this is more around shift and you. But this white paper, the subtitle will be something because this is your mentoring program for your So this will be more. I would put this is more about the industry and the client you're working with. Whereas this is more about the message. So, so the subtitle will be something like, so it might be how CEOs in the resource, what is it, suppliers? Is it still suppliers? CEOs of suppliers to the mining and resource sector? Still the trusted advisor stuff, yeah? Oops, sorry, I meant to unmute you. I've unmuted you. Are you unmuted?
I think I remuted me, sorry. Yeah,
there you go, that's okay.
Probably more the back of the book that I looked at just then and went, oh wow, this is gold. So
yeah, it's more that this why this matters would be more around it comes off the back of the subtitle. So your subtitle, so let's say it's shift, how CEOs of suppliers to the mining sector need to how they can become the trusted advisor in the industry, or how they can become a trusted advisor in the industry.
Yep.
Then why does this matter? So why this matters is the mining and resources sector is changing dramatically. CEOs of mining and resource sector companies don't know who they can trust. They feel alone. There's a bit of that over that will be in the next part, but it's kind of your insight. The size of the industry, it's going through X amount of growth. It goes through. It's probably more industry context of what the issues are in the industry.
cool. Thank you.
That's okay. My pleasure. Kelly, you're okay. Kelly Tomney first. I'll just check in. You're right. Yep. Okay, great. And I'll just check Kelly Glover. She's looking very intense there. So I'll just unmute her.
I found this amazing book on my bookshelf, guys.
Look at that.
Ooh, smells new. Lots of places to fill in.
That's awesome. You're going okay there, Kelly? Just checking in, you're okay? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, so solopreneur industry. So particularly in the US, because your client's US market. So by the end of this year, 50% of the US labor force will be self-employed.
Wow.
So there's your first piece. And that comes out of US labor data statistics. So I've definitely used that data before. So the world's where you're coming from is kind of the world's changing fast. Is the way that employment and businesses work today are totally different to the way they were 10 years ago. There's more solopreneurs than ever. They're growing more than ever. Being able to position yourself and brand yourself well is the future of work. It could even be worth, I'm also thinking about the problem with, and the other thing is the context of change that's going on. So what, not just the change, yours is about yours is reinvention. So changing times means that we change. We have to change to adapt.
Yes. Adapt.
Yeah.
Adapt is a huge word.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. It's change or adapt. Change to adapt. Adapt is not
adapt or die.
Adapt or die.
You can't say die these days, but I get the concept.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where you're coming from with this spot.
Yeah, and it's also a bit like all is not lost. You can pivot, you can rebrand, you can do stuff with what you've already got, even if you've lost it all. You can. So in thought leaders, my big word is Phoenix. So Phoenix Forever rising from the ashes, and I feel like that's what everyone has to do all the time.
Right. Yep. So it's yeah. So we always have. So I would I put it's time to be the phoenix. It's time to be to reinvent. It's time to and because you have to this is the new it's almost like you're saying this is the new norm. You have to for you to connect to yourself and your identity is you have to get used to reinventing and transforming. I love that.
And so one of the other things is the transformational personal brand. And I think they're two separate things. I'm still trying to identify if it's like revolution and evolution and then transformational. So it's, I don't know if it's one thing, two things. I'm still figuring that out.
It's okay. You're doing the work so the clarity will come.
Yeah. Why solopreneurs need to take control of their personal brand. So a lot of it is actually taking control. I simplified it.
Spot on. Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny. When I first worked with Matt, back when I did MDE with Matt in 2013, he picked that for me for personal branding as well. The big word was take control. So there you go. But big part of it is take control.
Because otherwise you just roll along and then you're like, I'm not even having a say in this.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, just as an aside, what you might want to do, have a look at a lady called Louise Williams. Even if you just jot it down, she's here in Brisbane. And she's a photographer, a personal branding photographer, but she does a lot of identity and transformation work. So you might want to, it might just help you to grasp some of the language and what you're trying to say. You're completely different, but it sometimes can help you, particularly around the transformational personal brand stuff.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if, well, I guess this is a whole different session. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's two things or part of the same thing. Like I'm trying to, because personal branding in its nature is transformational. So can you even separate it or not?
Yeah, I think you're right. It is transformational. It's the balance of authenticity and transformation. So people kind of go, I've got to maintain my connection to that core self and that identity of who I am. But that means a shedding and it means a letting go. So how do I stay real in a transformation?
Yeah.
And how do I let go of the old me? So I would just dump all that down in this area. I think that's really important just to get those ideas down. And even if it feels messy, is okay.
Yeah, it feels like a bloody mess.
It's okay. Let it be messy. Let it be messy. The messier it is, the better, because you'll get all the really good stuff will come out just letting yourself do it. Good work.
Yeah, it's exciting. Thank you. I love it.
All right, my pleasure. Okay, is everyone ready to go on to 5 key challenges for your buyer? Everyone's all good? All right, got a thumbs up. Yep, excellent. Thanks, ladies. And Andrew's still going on. He's a little bit there. He's not to worry, so it's all good. Okay, now what I want you to do is the 5 key challenges for your buyer. Now you're obviously not going to put that title but you'll put the 5 key challenges for leaders. 5 key challenges. If I'm Gianna, it's the 5 key challenges for for project managers in billion-dollar project infrastructure projects. So what are the 5 key challenges? Now these 5 key challenges, again, just put bullet points in, is the 5 key challenges, what are they? So these are things that they would say out loud. So they're things that if, for Kelly Glover, they might say things like, I can't seem to get new clients. I'm struggling to keep a consistent revenue. I'm dealing with lumpy revenue streams. So the problems that they would say out loud, but they might not have connected it to what your solution is. But Kelly Glover would also possibly say, I feel alone. I feel like I'm trying to express myself, but I don't really know what that is. I'm feeling, it could be that sense of disconnection and, particularly if it's around reinvention and the Phoenix is I'm feeling disconnected. I don't feel like I'm myself, but I don't know who I am. I'm feeling like I'm in limbo land. Kelly Tomney is for your buyers that so I feel like I've outgrown where I am. Maybe I feel like I'm ready for the next challenge. I feel like I want to make I don't want to make a that's a fear, so we'll get to fears in a minute. I want to be appreciated for my work. Perhaps some of those things that maybe come up for your client. I don't know if they resonate. Yep. I want to earn more money. I want to be compensated more for my work. I want to feel like I belong, feel more connected. I don't know. Deanna, what about yours? What are the problems that your clients would say? So project managers of these projects, what would they say?
They talk a lot about the fact that there's just a general lack of experience in the industry because people don't invest in training.
Right, great. There you go. Great. Yep. What else?
And then I think the next biggest thing that they would, it just is a huge cost investment. It just drives up the cost of the project because people are having to rework over and over again.
Right, great. Excellent. Cost of rework, cost of the investment. Great. What else comes up for them?
I would say that if I think about situations on site, that there's just a general, like there's an added stress level. There's just an overall stress that it brings to the whole team because there's poor communication and it all starts to layer on top of each other. I don't know how to.
So how would they say that? So they would say the actual jobs, construction sites and work environment is stressful? Like
they would more communicate it that they're telling someone something and they just don't seem to understand what they're asking.
Great. Okay. There you go. So explaining things to team members, but they don't seem to understand what the instructions are. Great. The other one I had here for you, Deanna, was possibly they can't find the right talent or can't seem to find or attract the right people.
Yeah.
Do we ever find 100%. That?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Does anyone else need help with theirs? Stacey, you're okay. Jessica, you're okay. Yeah.
Can I just ask Jane, do you put it in the, so future-proofing you, I'm speaking directly to that personal public audience.
Yes.
With so it's just, 5 key challenges, say, for professionals, and then the problems that they'd say they're having. So they want to stay calm amongst the chaos, but can't. Not sure how your business will manage through these times. Is the tense, do you speak more, do you recommend with this one that I'm speaking more in the first person, connecting with them? I suppose I'm answering my own question now. It's the white paper, so it probably should be just more general, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's for them, like if they're paying for themselves, so it's the problems that they would say to you out loud. That's right. Whereas if you had something for this for corporate, you would, for HR managers who are paying for this for someone else, then you would have more around, we want to attract and we want to retain really good people and all that sort of stuff. But in this case, it's not that. For them, it's, I want to feel, I just feel like there's so much to do. I'm feeling overwhelmed, like all that sort of stuff. So spot on. Well done.
So you'd put it in the first person here, the problems, like, are you having, these are the problems I want to be using the time, or would you put it in professional saying, so it's sort of third? Yeah,
it's more third person. So these are the challenges that leaders usually find, say, that they're having. Whereas, like you said, if you said, is this you? Do you find that's more a website type copy, because they're landing there and they're looking for information and ready to buy. Whereas if it's in a white paper, it's cold usually, or it's like it's the first time they've been opened up to a conversation like this. So what they're looking to do, like Stacey was saying before, it's about self-identifying, or I think Andrew said that before, around self-identifying. But when it's not as salesy when it's, you know, do you find? So that's far more direct and more salesy. So this is not a sales document at all. This is more that what brings it the gravitas is that it looks more clinical and it looks more research based. So here's what we find, you know, what the 5 challenges most leaders in organizations are facing at the moment.
Yep. So it'd be more professionals and corporate, individuals.
Okay.
Yep, cool, thanks.
All right, everyone got their 5. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go on to the next one. Okay, Jessica's ready. And great, Kelly Glover's ready. And also we've got, thanks, Kelly Tomney's ready. And just see if Stacey's ready. Thank you, Stacey. Andrew Deering's ready. And I'll just check that Deanna's ready. Just check Deanna's okay. She's right. Great. Thumbs up. Alrighty, let's go on to the next one. So the 5 fears for your buyer. So the 5 fears for your buyer. So these are the problems that are keeping them up at night. I've put here, what's keeping them up at night? What would they only say to you if they had a few drinks? So they probably wouldn't say these things out loud to you, but they might after they've had a few drinks in them. I've said that it's likely they wouldn't say these out loud, and these come with compassion. Whereas over here, these challenges come with, they would say these out loud, that you're showing your understanding, whereas these are the fears that they have. So it takes a lot of vulnerability here. It's likely they wouldn't say them out loud, and you're coming with total compassion. You're coming with compassion, empathy, and understanding. The other one's more about understanding, but this is more about compassion. So the 5 fears. So, you know, it's not like, the fear is that you're not good enough, and you go, well, you just need to get over yourself. Like, you know, we're not going to be like that here. Is that the fear is that the fear of the imposter, that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I really don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to get found out. So it comes with the language around this is compassion and empathy. So they feel vulnerable when you've put this stuff on there and they read it. So let me know if you're stuck. And I'll just go back to, I can even go back to this, to the white paper I had up before, wherever it went. I've got too many things open here. Chats and, here it is. Let's go. And this one I had, this is the old Women with Influence one that I had. What did I have for? I was pretty light on the, I put a little, this was a bit more light on, but I had fear of failure actually. This one's probably not a good example for that one. Probably better off to show this one. Let's bring this up as the example again. My fears, criticism, fear of criticism, fear that I'm going to, that as the leader, the spotlight's on us. So not everyone likes what we have to say. Fear of failure. I don't want to be seen as incompetent. Fear of making decisions and making the wrong decision. Fear of speaking. Fear of public speaking means avoiding situations and leverage and buy-in. A fear of responsibility. Moving into the leadership arena, scared to take on the responsibility and the fear of power. So let me know if you've got yours and you're happy to share what your 5 fears might be for your client. For your reader.
Hey Jane, can I just, I'm not sure if I'm completely on the right track. So my buyer is obviously like HR, people and culture, that sort of thing. So I'm thinking around, and this is kind of leadership, executive coaching, leading possibility. So some of the fears might be actually we haven't in fact given them the right level of support so far.
Spot on.
Another one would be, I'm not entirely confident that this is even the right person.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They might leave and leave us exposed.
Yes.
And there's something around the kind of the acknowledging, actually, this person's trying really hard, but we threw them in the deep end.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to phrase that a bit differently. But that's sort of
spot on. You're spot on.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. There's the fear of looking bad is, and if you whatever that version is of them looking bad is where you're going. So that's spot on. Is that so fear of the team, we're going to be exposed. The team's going to be exposed, but it's also going to expose our recruitment process being inadequate, our onboarding process, that we didn't do the right thing right from the beginning. And expose that we have got vulnerabilities in our own systems and fear of losing confidence in them and the morale and culture. That if this person went there, well liked, but this is what's going on, or
okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, good work. Let me know if anyone needs more help for the 5 buyers. Actually, even on this one, you don't even have to have 5. 3 is plenty even. So I'm always a bit mindful that since even doing the other one, if I had my time again, I would have just probably left the 3 big ones on there. Sometimes fears are really hard for your audience to listen to. It's hurtful. It's quite painful for them to hear it. So we just have to be delicate. But you've got to make sure that you got the right ones. That's all. And that's why they take a lot of compassion, kindness, empathy to say them.
I'm happy to share my 3, Jane.
Far away. Go ahead. What have you got?
So the first one is that I feel scared that I will never get this figured out and create the wealth and freedom that I desire.
Yes. Yep.
The second one is that I feel ashamed of all the bad money and business decisions. Feel ashamed of the bad money and business decisions I've made and money I've wasted.
Beautiful. Spot on.
And afraid that people may find out just how scared and confused I am with money and how little idea I have of what's actually happening.
Excellent. Good work. Yep. Spot on. You know your customer well. And can you see how even this document, Jessica, like them reading that, is they feel heard without anything even being said? Yeah,
very much so. Because I think the other thing is everyone thinks they're the only one that are having this problem.
That's right. That's exactly right. They see and they go, oh, so it's not just me.
Yeah, I always tell my clients what's personal is universal. Like, you're not the only one. It feels very personal, but it's quite a universal issue.
Excellent. You need to write a blog on that.
Yes.
Personal is universal. That's a magic blog. All right, give me a thumbs up when you're ready and we'll go on to the next part. Stacey's ready. Kelly Tomney's ready. Great, Kelly Glover's ready. Deanna's ready. Andrew Deering's ready. Okay. All right, not got everyone. Okay, let's go on to the next one. The next one is we want to have a look. So this is the journey that they're going on. So they want to know, what's the journey that you're going to take me on? Now, when we're selling the invisible, is that people need to be able to trust that you understand where they are now, where you're going to take them, and are you going to take me to where I want to go? And quite often they don't know even what that is, but we have to be able to articulate that so that they can trust that they're in safe hands. So this journey, it says the journey they're on. They should be able to self-identify where they are now and where you're taking them. Using a model to show the journey, which is what I'm going to show you is activity, focus and currency of how they understand how to buy from you. We did some work on this back on Wednesday with with your website landing page. But the question is what they're asking and what you're having to demonstrate through this is what is the value of what you bring. And you may need an extra column in this model for the end user on the model. So in other words, Stacey, so I think we talked a little bit about this for your clients. Diana, this could come up even a little bit for yours. Kelly, your public market, so not so much. Yours will be pretty right. Jessica, yours will be right. Andrew Deary, Andrew's will be right. Kelly Glover, yours will be right. But yeah, so Stacey and Diana, you might need another column here. So let's have a look at an example. And I'm going to bring up, I'm actually going to bring up a web page instead because I didn't have a, I didn't have the brochure done for this one. I go, here's my coaching page. But Kelly, we did a bit of this on yours. And for those who are in the session back on, what were we, Wednesday, this is essentially what you're doing is creating a value model. I'll just use my medical interview skills one. Again, it's nice and simple. So for you, Kelly Glover, at immersion or leading into immersion at Thought Leaders, did you get to have a go at a green sheet and do a value model at all? Oops, she might have gone to, stepped out, she might have gone to the bathroom. Oh no, there she is. Oops, I'll unmute you there. You might, oh, there you go. Sorry, Kelly. Go. Oh no, we still can't hear you. Sorry. Nope. Ah. All right, while Kelly's getting set up there, Diana's got people who are giving her a hard time in the office there.
Big children.
All right, Kelly Glover, I'll let you try again.
Oh, I understand the concept, still working on the value ladder.
Okay, terrific. So this is where this is going to belong on this page. So, but here's an example. The idea is your customer needs to know, where are you taking me? So I need to know you've got a plan. And this is, the value model is all about your insight. And Andrew, you've done this one, I think, before, yes. So essentially what you're doing, 3 columns work really simply, is that you've got the 3 columns are activity, and the activity is to help them to identify what is going on right now, like where are you right now? And the second column is about what do you need to do next? And then over here, the third column is the currency. So if I'm working with doctors in medical interview skills, they want to go into, so this is for where they go in for specialty training. So their goal is to go in with feeling confident. They always just, and that's why the book is called Confidence. I know that's the currency we're working with. They want to feel confident going into those interviews. So at the lowest level, you know, they've got, they're talking too much. They're really verbose. So I've got to get them, you know, compress. I've got to get them being able to speak with brevity. I've got to, and it's usually quite often nerves if they're talking too much. And their confidence is, you know, way below. But if they're feeling fearful, they're really afraid of what the panel's going to say. What happens is they actually don't say enough because they're so scared. They're scared they're going to say the wrong thing. So I have to get them focused on less about themselves and more focused on the panel. You can see the currency I'm working with. So as we're working through these things, the confidence is increasing. So when I'm talking to the client, they can see, so I say, tell me about where you're at. And they say, if they say, oh, well, I've already had 2 interviews and I'm not getting through. And I go, okay, so you're probably feeling a bit frustrated because you don't know what's going wrong, or like you don't know where you're going wrong because you're not getting enough feedback from the panel. No one tells you anything. You don't get a report back. It's all very cloak and dagger. And they go, yeah, it's really frustrating. And I go, okay, you're probably about level 3 here by the sound of it. So what I've got to do is that they often by that stage haven't come across the competencies before in those specialties. So I have to work with them here. So then that I can show them. I've got the model to show them. And they go, oh, yeah, well, that is me. So where are you going to take me? Oh, you're going to take me to Agile. You're going to take me at the top. So for some of you, we did a little bit of work on this. But Deanna, in terms of, so for your clients, so if I'm a project manager, is what I'm looking for, and it doesn't even matter if you have, you know, even 3 levels. What we're essentially looking for is for your project managers, what quality looks like. I'd be looking for, pardon my language, but what does shit look like? What does average look like? And what does amazing look like? If that makes sense. So when quality is really not good, so, and it just shows that you understand. And so, so I find 5 levels work really well because it helps them to, there's enough of a gap and enough of a journey there. If it's only 4 levels, they go, oh, so we only have to go to there. But the top one is always aspirational. And it's, if you imagine that the top one is, if you said, I have nothing else to teach you, you know, my job here is done. You are perfect. I have nothing else to do. You know, you're good to go. That's your 100%. So, but your currency, so if I'm in Deanna's case, the level of quality, what happens if you've got the level of, if you're thinking the currency's around quality, what do they get if they've got quality? Deanna, is it that it's done on time and on budget?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
In a nutshell.
Okay. So that might be the currency you're working with, on time and on budget. So it could be 100% of the time versus 0% of the time.
The other big thing with it too is that I wrote a note on is that it actually prevents them from achieving the project objective.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go. So there you go. So that's what I would have. Yeah, it's achieve the project objective.
Yeah.
Spot on. And I've used a percentage. You don't have to use a percentage. It could be a multiplier. It could be a ratio. I just find percentages really nice and easy. People understand them easily. And it's your experience. Like, they're not going to go in and get the calculator out and calculate out. Is that you go, my experience has been, look, if you can get your project at about here, you're going to be about 75% of the way on the way to having, improving your quality standards in your projects. So does anyone need some help with theirs, or you're okay? You can give me a thumbs up if you're okay. Kelly Tomney's okay. Andrew Deering's okay. Stacey is okay. Thanks, Stacey. Jessica's okay. Yep. And even if it's not perfect, is just get it down so that you've got something down, and you know you can ponder over it a bit. But Stacey, you've got a question? Sorry, I'll let you unmute yourself.
You just mentioned an extra column, and that's for the buyer.
Oh,
so
sorry, yeah. So this will be your column for your buyer, but what you might want to do is like the currency for your buyer, and this is even for you, Deanna, as well, is, so this column at the moment would be the column for your buyer, the person who's paying for this. It can help to even just add another column here for the individual going through your program. What is the currency for them? So in other words, the currency for them, so the leader going through this is the currency for them could actually be belief or confidence, or like maybe it's performance, like your stuff around their performance.
It'd be impact probably, yeah.
Right, there you go, the impact. So do you see that the individual has a different currency than the buyer does? Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Okay, great question. Thanks for asking that. I'd forgotten to come back to that. And so, Deanna, in your case, the currency, like the outcomes, percentage outcomes, and the individual is that who's going through the training. What might be the currency for them, do you think?
I think most of the time it's
accuracy.
Accuracy. It's actually a little bit more like they start to look incompetent now themselves.
Competency. Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's more about being competent than. Yeah.
There you go. Great. So you've got completion, completing the objectives for one column, and then you can add that on if you had to for the individual to say this is where they'll be at. So I just find sometimes if you're doing with those two markets, it can help. Well, you've got commercial, what would say commercial buyer and participant. Okay, excellent. Everyone ready to go on to the next one? Whoops, I need this one. Okay, that was the journey that they're on. Who's going? I'm pretty happy with that. I can now explain what I do. Happy with that? Yep, Kelly Tomney, Kelly Glover's okay. Yep, all good. All right, wonderful. So if you get stuck, you can always put them in the Facebook group. If you're rethinking anything, happy to look at it. All right, so the journey we're on. Now the next one we've got to do is, so this is where you get to bring your insight, and this is what's really going on. This is your insight. You can, this is what you really wanted to say. So back when I did where's my, way too many documents opening. Let me close that, close that, and close that. Where is my white paper? Go back to my Zoom chat, so got everything open here. Is it that one? Oh, it's Lynn Kazales. Right. Okay, this is where you kind of have your, this is really your statement or your positioning around it. A few comments here. Jessica said, I find there's a lot of if only they knew stories. Yeah, that was back on your fears. Yeah, Jessica, absolutely. A lot of shame around money. There's so much money so tied to identity. And then Kelly Glover said to you, Jessica, what's personal is universal. That's brilliant. It is brilliant. Well done. So in this case, this is where, so I said, well, here's what I reckon. I reckon since the term servant leadership was coined, is that people say, while this is certainly the right approach for what was previously coming out of a dictatorial style of leadership for many, it has left them with a lower sense of identity and confidence as a leader. Most are now being pushed around in highly reactive, urgent situations with less resources. Leaders now need to take control to give their own team confidence, execute meaningful work, and become sustainable in the long term. It's not about taking power away from the team. It's about the right balance of power and the direction in the team to achieve results. So, so that was what I was getting really annoyed with. That was what I was like, okay, now I've said all this other stuff. Now it's your insight, but you can also kind of put, I guess, your angle and your little bit of a rant on it. So I just found leaders were just constantly disempowered in organisations, and that was most of my time was fixing that problem. So this is where you can put that. So let me bring back my, where's my document? Come back. Here we go. Right. So what's really going on? What is it that you really want to say? So here's what's really going on. So is it that what you want to say is that what the real problem is that we think that if I'm Kelly Glover, it could be here's what's going on. People think that personal branding is all about social media and just podcasting and videos and YouTube channels. But it's actually about rising from the ashes. It's about a complete transformation of your identity and reassessing your values, purpose, vision, mission, and the people you surround yourself with. This is a hard conversation to have that most people struggle with, but if you can step into it, then you're really going to achieve your potential, feel more fulfilled and happier in your own self or something like that. So does that resonate for you, Kelly?
Yes. I wish, yes, 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 yes.
All right, terrific. Thankfully we got the recording. Don't ask me to repeat it, isn't it? what I said. But yeah, you know, the angle we're coming from is only because I get it all the time. I go, oh, I've got to deal with people thinking personal branding is all about YouTube channels and Facebook pages. Great. Okay. Does anyone else need some help with what your position is on this, or what you really wanting to say? And just a few bullet points. You don't have to make it all beautiful. Is even just pop your bullet points down. 3 to 4 is enough.
It's perfectly acceptable to say that something like be aware of the people that are like the imposters. It's like a big issue that we have is people all say they can do their job, but they can't.
Right.
So it's almost like people need to invest more in having the right person in the right role for our particular consultancy area.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like everyone kind of looks at what he does and scoffs and goes, I can do that too. And I'm like, well, you can't actually.
Yep. So yeah, you've got, absolutely. I think this is, because this is the problem, is that, and people go, oh, they reckon they can do it. And so, so spot on. So I would say, because here's what's really going on. What's really going on is over promises and under delivery. It means that what's going on is that people say that they can do the job, but they can't. And the reason for that is that they actually haven't got the competency. And so the problem is that people overestimate their capability. And so that has an impact. That's what's having the impact on quality. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So you've done all that other stuff. So I say it's a bit like with this work, you kind of, I say it's like you got to clear the tarmac. Imagine you're landing a plane. So this is you trying to land your plane. So what you've done by going through the fears and your model and putting all the quote and all that stuff at the front end, what you've done is cleared the tarmac, and with respect. Like you've said, I hear you, I see you, I understand you. I get what you're trying to do, and I get the context you're working in and your goals and your aspirations and what you're trying to get to. But guess what? Here's the deal. And so you've earned the right to say this now. Whereas if you set it up front, you kind of, they can feel a bit like you're calling their baby ugly. And so we've got to come with a bit of understanding and insight. And then we go, okay, you've earned the credibility by doing all that first. So they respect you. And then by the time they get to this, so in your case, Gianna, they get to see that and they go, oh shit. Yeah, you know what? This is their oh shit moment. Like this is where they go, oh shit, she's right. Yep, she's so right. Kelly's laughing. She's going, yes, I now get to say what I want to say. Baby's ugly. Yeah, oh shit moment. Yep, totally. This is where they go, oh, this is where they almost kind of in some ways, it's almost like this juxtaposition of I now feel really naked in front of you, as well as I suddenly feel so connected to you and I can feel this exposed to you because you totally get me, and now I'm okay with that. So yeah, she says, Kelly is saying, this is the best. Permission to speak freely, officer. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Permission granted. Spot on. Yeah, well done. The Emperor's new robes, as Andrew said. Good. What's really going on for your client here, Andrew? I'll just let you unmute yourself there.
Yeah, I did. I'm still playing with it.
Oh, okay, that's okay.
There's this whole conversation for me around, leaders facing increased pressure and complexity from inside and outside the organization. More is expected, but less is given. Disruptions become the norm. Complexity is increasing. People don't have the skill set to cope with now, let alone tomorrow.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so they feel, oh shit, he really does see me. Yeah. 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 And there's no way you could say that without having come with compassion and empathy first. Because otherwise you just, you just come across as an arrogant wanker, and, that we can't do that. Like we go total empathy, but now I've earned the right to say that. Great, well done. Okay, thumbs up from if you've been able to get your few points down there on what's really going on. If you're ready for me to go on to the next bit. Kelly Tumney's okay. Stacey's okay. Thank you. Jessica's okay. Andrew's okay, I assume, based on that one. Diana's okay. All right, and everyone's okay there. All right, so let's go on to the next one. So the next one is now your solution. And your solution is now, this is your big idea. So this is a simple model to show how this problem is solved. So because the model before we showed was, here's the journey I'm going to take you on. But this model is generally far more about, so here's the solution, which is when we're back on our program on Wednesday, where we did Venn diagram of the three things. And in Jessica's case, Jessica, you've got those four pieces in yours, which is around mindset. Yeah, so this would be where that goes. So that's okay. Stacey, you had yours, so yours is pretty right, I think. For I can't remember it off the top of my head.
That's okay. I guess it's about the depth, because I've got a model that can go kind of 2 layers deep, or do I just kind of keep the central part of it?
Yeah, just keep it high. Keep it high, the higher level one.
Yeah,
that's it. Great. Andrew, you're okay. I know you're still sort of pottering around there, so you're okay. Diana, you're okay with the high level concept here that you've got for them, because you did that at Content Creation Bootcamp, I think. Is that right? Yep. Okay, cool. And I'll just check on Kelly Glover. So Kelly, you got to do your big pink sheet, your big idea when you went to immersion? Yep. So that big idea goes on here. And Kelly Tomley's okay too. Yep, terrific. Okay, excellent. Whew, I love it when people have done their work. And so now we can have a look at the next one, which is explain the aspects of your model. So describe each part, including the intersections. The intersections, by the way, are really powerful. So so Jessica, what I wouldn't mind doing, so for everybody else, is just literally put down what are the names out of your model, like out of each of the circles, for example. So I'll just go down here with my model for the doctors. Competencies, questions, and practice. So I would literally just put competencies, questions, and practice. And all you would do on that page is you're just going to put a sentence that explains each of those. Explain what you mean by competencies, explain what you mean by questions, and explain what you mean by practice. And then if you could put, what do you mean by agile? What do you mean by in control? And what do you mean by prepared? So just put those on your page, and then just pop a sentence in to explain each of those. Now, while you're doing that, I want to go to Jessica and just double check with Jessica, with your 4, would you mind explaining to me, and then I can make sure I cover off on the intersections and why they're valuable. So Jessica, with yours, you've got 4, is that right? Yours is, oh, let me unmute you there. I'll let you unmute yourself too. So one is top left was mindset.
Mindset.
Yeah.
Then bottom right is manifestation, I think. Let me double check that. Yeah, mindset, manifestation. Mindset, manifestation, money management, and wealth creation. And I'll just pop that up because Kelly wasn't here on Wednesday.
Let me it's a little bit small, but that's okay. So top left, is that that's wealth creation on the top left?
Yes, yep. So that's kind of the last one.
Wealth creation, yep. Top right was mindset, is that right?
Mindset, yep.
Yeah, and bottom left?
Money management.
Oh yeah, money management, well done.
and manifestation.
And manifestation is over on the right. Okay, excellent. Okay, let me just try something here.
Yeah, I have it laminated, Kelly. I take it with me pretty well everywhere I go and show anyone that it was there.
Great, it's really simple, easy to do. Yeah, look, that's fine. I keep that simple for now because you're used to working with it and using it. But what I would consider doing, and this would be a good thing for you to play with, is take those 4, and if you intersected them, like so on this model,
yeah,
even if you brought them in and merged them all together so that they kind of look like
the Olympic rings.
Stacey did a really good one the other day where she's got these 4 that intersect. So I'm not very good at drawing all 4 together, but they kind of go, I don't know. Stacey might share hers in the Facebook group if she's happy to, but you end up with sort of 4 intersections like this, Jessica. Sorry about my scribble.
Yep.
And what happens?
I just put it in, Jane.
Oh, did you? Excellent.
Yep.
So, what am I doing on my phone? I'll do that in here. Where are we? Here we go. Where are we? Discussion.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, this is it. So
yeah.
See how, and the reason for that is, and even if you don't get these smaller words in these spots here is okay. But it's actually these words here that have, that show the outcome that they will get from those 2. And these words are more often than not what the customer actually understands that they're buying.
Yeah.
So when you're walking through it, they go, oh, yeah, that's what we want. That's what we're trying to buy. And then you go, well, they're not working in context. Yes, exactly. Now, like, it's like they feel like you're reading their mind if you can get these words right. So, so the intersections are really powerful because they show your insight, and also those insights more often than not align directly with the impact for the client.
Okay, yeah.
And they go, yes, that's what we're after.
Yeah, to sort of show how they all entwine and come together as a unit.
That's right. Spot on. Stacey, I'll let you.
I just wanted to share, just in terms of creating that model, I just learned a little PowerPoint technique the other day, which is called fragmenting. And that's how, and that's so what you do is you kind of draw your picture with your overlapping circles and that kind of thing. And then you select the whole lot on your PowerPoint slide. And then I'm just trying to think if and then there's a thing in design. I think it's in design. No. Anyway, just look it up in the help. But there's an option to fragment it, and it actually splits out the individual pieces. So that's how you can colour them different colours and get the different line, outline, stuff like that.
Cool.
So,
awesome. Did you say you did that? That was in PowerPoint. Did you say
it's in PowerPoint, and it's just they call it fragmenting anyway. So to fragment an image. So if you just look it up in the help, it's really simple to do. But I'm just yeah.
Never knew that.
I think it's under format actually.
Right. Thank you. Great hack. You're full of awesome tips today, Stacey. You're on fire. Amazing.
I've been doing the hard work.
You definitely have. That's excellent. All right, terrific. I'm just going to stop and see if anybody's got any questions there. I'll just see. Let me pull up. Where did this document go? Where do I come back? Okay, so I'll just check in if everyone. Oh, Siri, why did that happen? Does anyone need help with this? So Jessica, even you don't have to come up with it straight away, but just even have a think about it and pop it up in the Facebook group, and happy to have a look at it for you, no problem. And you've got some really experienced people here that are used to using this stuff. So if Andrew might say, and we're used to sort of looking at these things, so feel free to pop it up and You can say whether it makes sense to us or not. So it should still make sense even if you're not there. But that's great. You've got a really good model there. I think it's just tightening it up a little bit. Oh, Andrew put one in as well, and Jessica's saying, excellent, thank you. Kelly said, love that it's laminated, by the way. Inspo, really like it. Totally. It's makes it much easier. It tells you, it gets a workout. Hey, Jessica. That's great. Now, Andrew said that he put one in as well. Let's have a look. Let's pop something here in the discussion. Oh yeah, great. So there's the so trust, lead, and relate. Beautiful. Like the little icons too, Andrew. That's really nice. Makes it nice and memorable, easy it's sticky with those few little icons. And you've got your value model. Look at that. Beautiful. Activity, focus, and he's got growth. So he knows growth is the currency for the CEO trying to grow that company. There you go. Disconnected and decision. So if you look at when you're working with your model, is that the question is if the client should be able to self-identify where they are here, and as a result, then when they can self-identify, is the question is, so what do I need to do next to get to there? And what they need to do next is that word. So if I'm in transactions and I'm just focusing, all I'm focusing is on how much money we're making, then what we've got to do is focus on who are the people who you're serving and focus more on connection. And if you can focus on more connection, then we start working about, you know, the relationships. Who are you serving? What are you doing to add value to them as opposed to just processing invoices? Does that sound right, Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it helps. These models are great, and you know, you're one of the first people who helped me understand them better, Jane. So thanks. But it's also understanding when they self-identify. You're helping them give an aspiration of what the top is, but yes, understanding what the next, like there's levels. You can't just magically leap to the top of the ladder necessarily.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Help
Quite
define
often.
your work.
Yeah. Terrific. Exactly. Because, you know, otherwise I often say it's sort of like having a cake where you know, I'd say sometimes they go, oh, yep, we're on the monopoly, we're all good. And you go, well, hold on, let's have a look at this. And then they realize, oh, okay, I've been focusing on, you know, being in a monopoly. That was the space I thought we were playing in, but I realize I've kind of got the ice. What I'm thinking I've got is a bit of maybe icing on the cake, but I've got no cake. So you're a house of cards. You're going to fall over. So we're going to make sure we've got all these things in place. And they go, oh, okay, so I've got to come back down here. You go, yeah, you've got to come back down here because you won't hold it there. Great. Does anyone need help with theirs? On there, that's the value model, but this one was we're up to just the solution. So I'll just bring back this document. So great. So give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go on to the next one. Stacey's right. Andrew's right. Jessica's right. Joanna's still going there. Kelly Glover. Kelly Tomney's okay, and Kelly Glover's okay. All right. Terrific. Diana, you're okay? Yep. Right. Okay. Great. We're now on the closing part. So now is to take it to aspirational. So remember with quotes, they really are about inspiring and helping your client to see the aspirational. So again, is can be useful to put another quote there sometimes. So if I go back to, where's my other document? Oh, right. Is that white paper on? Oh, here it is. Okay, this last one, let me move everything out of the way. The last quote that I had down here on this one, here we go. My last quote was, think twice before you speak because your words and influence will plant the seed of either success or failure in the mind of another. So in your case is now find another quote that is on message and is about connecting your message to the next steps. So, but again, it's ideal if your audience understands or knows or admires at least the who this person is, this is Napoleon Hills. I go, great, everybody knows who that is. And it was all about words and influence. So what I was trying to do, and you noticed she actually highlighted, this is the graphic designer, I didn't do any of this, success or failure is what she highlighted those words specifically, because towards the next step is, you know, you've got a choice now. You can either go to success or failure. So it was actually quite a good quote for that part of the white paper, but not all things work out that perfectly. So this one is a quote again, and it's relevant to the message. So if I'm Diana, I'm looking for another quote around quality, or possibly project completion, or it's around, it's a little bit more it's an aspirational type quote, which is the purpose of them anyway, is to show them where we're going, which is essentially leadership. So is anyone stuck? Does anyone need help with theirs, or you kind of go, yep, I think I got the hang of what I have to get there? And if you're right, give me a thumbs up. Jessica's right, Andrew's right, Stacey's right. Kelly Tomney's okay. Kelly Glover's still looking. Yeah, no, Kelly Tomney's okay. Kelly Glover's okay. Diana, you're okay. Everyone's okay. Awesome. Okay, let's have a look. So now we'll go on to, and then, so the next part is just next steps. So where to from here? So for here is, I reckon what can be quite powerful is asking them 3 questions. So essentially is, so if it's, for example, so if I'm Andrew, it might be, so, you know, it could be, what are the 3 insightful questions you could ask that help them realize that go, yeah, I'm not doing that. So it could be, you know, what are you currently doing? What are the habits and routines, or what are you currently doing to nurture the relationships that you have with your clients currently? And that's often nothing. So you're what? So this is that the questions you ask here so that they realise the gap for them. So let me see if I can pull this one up. So next steps here, I've got, you may have identified high potentials already and looking to increase their persuasiveness. Their technical expertise has got them so far, and now it's ready to take them to the next level. So ask yourself the following questions. Where are you going to, where are you trying to go as an organisation? How persuasive are your leaders in getting other people there? And to what level are they maximising their mindset, mission and their momentum? So that was just something as simple as to get them to remember what they're trying to do, is tap into their vision. Are there leaders on that journey there? So if not, then I've just brought it back to the messaging. They may or may not be the right questions for you, but you're welcome to use something like that in yours. So if you need some help, just feel free to unmute yourself. So just pop down your questions there.
Hi, Jane.
Yeah, how you going, Kelly?
Good. It's a question around, I suppose it's really having more compassion here, but I've got a start of the questions. So ask yourself the following questions. What are you currently doing to optimize your career?
Yeah.
Do you have a career plan? Do you know what your next options, what next options are post this, you know, crisis? I'm not wanting to use really dramatic language for them, but what do you think of that? It probably feels a bit confronting. You know, they're reading it and going, oh, well, I don't have a career plan. You know, I don't know what's next.
People don't. I haven't been a career counsellor for a long time. I know exactly what yeah, because they, and that's not what you want. You want those people come to you for a plan. So, yeah, do you have a plan? Like, do you know what your vision and goals are? Do you have a plan to get there? And so, yeah, you want the question. All these questions are like, yeah, no, we don't have any of those things. So, yeah, and
so it's okay to be
totally. And do you know what the exact next step is to do from here? And they go, oh, yeah, no, I don't know anything from here.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So just be straight to it here.
Be straight. Yeah, because you've earned the right. You've done all this work. You've come with compassion, empathy, understanding, insight. You've taken them on the journey. You've given them a solution, and now you've earned the right to ask the incisive question.
Okay.
Or questions.
Thanks.
Absolutely, you've earned it. Yeah. Whereas if you did those questions up front, they'd be, oh, bloody hell, who are you? Like, I don't even know you. You've just been here for 5 minutes. But
yeah.
You've earned the right. So by the time you go to that meeting, that they go, yeah, I got to the end, I got to those questions. And it also allows you, when you go to the sales meeting, that you go, so how did you go? And they go, yeah. And then you can kind of go, and with the questions at the end, like, how did you get on with those? Was there anything that you went, oh yeah, well, I've kind of got a plan, but not really? And they go, no, they were really good questions. Because that's when I realized, because what you're doing is you're taking all the conceptual stuff and you're now anchoring it into a reality of here and now, that because you sort of sifted through it all and you go, right, so questions are, and I go, right, so what do I do? Yeah, they're really important. They are important, those questions. So, but yeah, you've earned the right. Go for it.
Thank you.
Well done.
I'm really sorry. I've got to go to a client one now, but I've really appreciated this. This has been fantastic. Thank you.
Good work, Kelly. That's great. Feel free to put it up in the Facebook group or share whatever you want to do. But yeah, now is just fill out the rest, and then you're good to go. But the hardest part's been done. Now it's just admin.
Yeah, you're brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
thanks very much.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, who we got? Okay, and just checking in that everyone's okay. You've got your next questions or next steps. Oh, before you go, Kelly.
Yes.
Need to do a group. Can we do a group photo? I'll do.
Oh, yes.
Let me take this off, and I'll just go. I don't want to share. Oh, stop. Stop share. And there we go. And Sam's going to smile for me too if she's there. She might want to just ducked out. No, she's not there. All right. Smile. Say cheese. Say white paper.
White paper.
All right. Awesome. Okay, we'll let you go, Kelly. All good. And I'll hop this bit for everyone. Okay, so thumbs up. Questions? Gianna's got hers. Yep. Nope, still going there. Andrew's got his. Yep.
2 out of 3.
1 to go. That's okay. Stacey, you've got yours. All right. Excellent. All right, I'll close off these last 2 so I can make sure I finish on time for everyone. And Gianna, if it's okay, if you're stuck, feel free to pop in the Facebook group. Happy to help. And then for your last question, if that's okay. And then so the about you, there's just these 2 last bits to go. Your about you, and I mean that's pretty straightforward. That's going to be your positioning. So it's just, and I'll put the samples up in the Facebook group anyway. But you know, you'll have done that about you probably on hundreds of documents by now, so that'll be okay. And then the copyright is just the last bit towards the end. So So from here, my advice is to get this filled out and get the copy, how you want it to sound. And then you could get this off to your graphic designer if you have somebody who's got your style guide. If not, send it off to whoever on Upwork or Fiverr or whoever. You could have this back this afternoon. So it would all be done. How good is that? Stacey's shaking her head going, I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead. I'll unmute you there. Oh, you're not, you might need to unmute yourself. So.
Yeah. No, I'm just going unbelievable. Like, you know, why didn't I do this, you know, well, a while back.
We're all the same, Stacey. You're in good company. So
yeah. And I think, what I love is now what you've done one, you can just kind of roll out the next however many.
That's it. You could even rev it to one of your team and they could do it. So you don't have to sit and do it. Yeah. And they can, you know, because if you've done it once, then that document is great. Can you put all that on the website? Can you, you know, so everything's being able to be used. So spot on, great insight.
So that was going to be one of my questions. So absolutely it would go on the website.
You can. Yeah, you can put your white paper, but what is quite good is if you put in a free resources or download area or something like that. So, and Andrew said, anyone got a Fiverr contractor recommendation? That would be amazing. So if you've used anyone, I haven't done much design work lately. I've sort of ended up back over more on Upwork. But yeah, if anyone's got someone that they like, even Fiverr, because if they've got a style guide, they can follow that. It's usually they can do something really good and it's not expensive. But yeah, if anyone's happy to do that, great. Sorry, Stacey, your question was where to from here is to, put it on the website. You can have a free resources and download area. I think this is helpful to sometimes, you can have it on the website and download the white paper, but it's actually better use more often than not. I don't think it's right to necessarily have this as a call to action on a web page for this service. And the reason is you want the call to action for them to come and talk to you. By the time they've come to the web page, the white paper is better as an opt-in or to get people onto your list. So speaking at conferences, you've reached out to them on LinkedIn, before you go into meetings, all that sort of stuff. So if you're going to have it, if it was on a website, I'd have it in a free resources area where you can download free stuff, not with the program on the landing page.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions before we head off? Everyone happy? What's been helpful, insightful for you in 10 seconds or less?
For me, just how possible it is.
It's possible. You can get it done pretty quickly if you've got, the space, and sometimes just trying to get the roadblocks removed. Yeah, it is possible. And you're on brand with your insights, Stacey, too. Well done. Good. What else? Feel free to unmute yourself. What else is your insight? What was most helpful today?
I just was really pleased with how it all kind of flowed and came together, and I feel like I'm starting to write with a little bit more context and clarity and communication and connection with my audience. So that was exciting.
Nice. Well done. Excellent. Great. Diana or Andrew?
Yeah, it's easier than I thought. I think in my head I conjured it up to be this big important thing, and it's not that it's not important, but I thought it was like kind of beyond my pay grade. So
no, you don't need a PhD to do it. Well done. I'm so glad you had faith in the process and you came along and had a go. So you've got it there. It's great. It's going to be a great document. It will make a massive world of difference for you in your practice and your business. Great. Andrew?
Also, I just enjoy, great process, Jane, just forcing us through the tube as
I'm a bit like that, aren't I?
But I think sometimes there's that whole level of procrastination or overthinking versus get half a dozen things there, hand it off to someone to help you clean it up.
Yeah, you keep moving. You go on to the next thing.
Moving, go next, because you can kind of get stuck on one and go, oh, but it's not perfect, is it? and that nothing ever is, and it doesn't really matter. So
No.
that's probably the one bit, and the other bit was, I guess, just that, you know, they are a simple, when you think about the bits and pieces, they are a pretty simple document. Yeah, so good, thank you.
Yeah, what I like about it is you can make it as, if you've got I refined it back to this structure to keep it much simpler for people. And then that way, depending on the complexity of your thinking or the depth of your thinking, what you put on those pages can vary, but the structure is simple enough to keep repurposing in each white paper. Because you know, when you're at a stage of leverage and distribution, is you've got to remove all the friction out of your practice.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that, you know, when you talk about the depth of thinking, like using the process of just forcing each step,
yes,
means you know, you don't have to drown yourself in complexity. You can just hold this work lightly and makes it more accessible for people. So
yeah, and you can also just get your first draft done. You can always innovate and reiterate as you go, but at least just getting something down, because if you go, shit, I've got a meeting tomorrow and this will be, I need to do a white paper, you go, oh, well, that'll do. There's enough. That'll be right. That's okay. I've got something in place and now I can use that. And then clean it up later on if you have to, but at least you've got something to get it down and the ideas out of your head. That's great. Kelly Glover, your first time on, you survived, which is wonderful. You're still here. We love that. How are you feeling? Not too overwhelmed? You're okay?
No, I loved it, but my brain kept going off and thinking separately, so I'm going to have to watch it again. And I've done a first draft, but it seems so simple. I feel like I might have missed something, so I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah, well, that's fine. That's the purpose.
Yeah.
So you can watch it 100 times, pop it up in the Facebook group if you want. So, yeah, here to help.
Thank you. I loved
All
it.
right.
Thank you.
Bravo. Well, round of applause for everybody. You worked super hard. I'm super impressed. And Sam, I'm coming to you now. And thank you for being on here with Andrew today. And but yeah, jump in the Facebook group, share, and I will see you. I see you tomorrow. And tomorrow is LinkedIn page. Yes, LinkedIn profile for tomorrow. So I'll see you there. And have a great night.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.